Yes.
So I believe there's a success blueprint for men and fathers. All right. It says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, but plans to give you a hope and future." All right. I believe there's a recipe to call upon the blessings of God. All right. So now, how I'm going to organize this kind of talk. I'm going to organize it based on what we talked about, right? Which is the accountability, protecting your most valuable asset, adulthood, blessings and stewardship, personal growth, which is God's plan for creative growth, and fatherhood, the summation of manhood, right? So now, the majority of my background, or actually all of my background, right, is real estate and business, right? So all my examples are going to be real estate related, right? I did not time this presentation, so I'm going to try to be on time, right, and not knock it out fast. But it's going to be a lot of information, and we're going to talk about it. So, all right, when I first, let's pray. I pray, Lord God, in the name of Jesus, Lord God, you be with us and protect us. Help us to convey the message I want to convey to the people. Help us to understand, and help us to use me as a mouthpiece, how you used Moses, Lord God, in order to convey the secrets that you have for his people, Lord God. To bring them prosper, to bring them wealth, to bring them to make them good men, Lord God, to make them good fathers. This I pray in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right. One of my favorite verses is this Psalms 1. Right? Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of ungodly, nor stand in the way of sinners, nor sit in the seat of scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. For he should be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, to bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf shall not wither, and whatever he do shall prosper. This prosper kind of theme is going to run throughout my speech, right? So, but I'm going to prove it to you, right? So any which way, before I get started, who am I and why am I qualified to speak to you guys, right? So my name is Jason Hall, JD. I'm a full-time real estate fund manager. I got started in real estate in 2001. I did my first six-figure deal in 2005, but it really didn't start there, right? This is my family. I have 9 children. I've been married since 1999. My oldest is 20 what? He's going to be 26 this year, and my youngest is 5 years old, right? He's in kindergarten right this second, right? So I accepted Jesus when I was 16. I got kicked out of my house. I got sent to, I'm from Jamaica, Queens, New York, right? So I'm from New York. I got accepted, I accepted Jesus when I was 16 because I had to kind of survive as a street kid in New York, right? And by God's grace, I started my first company when I was 18, right? And I wrote this business plan called Operation Paid, People Achieving Increased Dollars, right? We had over 80 employees in Jamaica, Queens. I made a covenant with God that we would tithe not on the net, but we'd tithe on the gross. And when you just right, and God's grace, we went from like 2,000 a week to 6,000 a week to 10,000 a week to 20,000 a week, like out of nowhere, right? Damn. And we nearly tripled my monthly revenue over 6 months. Near triple-digit monthly revenue. So any which way, making a covenant with God is like one of the things I actually do. And you asked me at the times I made covenants with God. But any which way, this is me on the far right. I've been wearing suits a long time, right? This is me on 168th Street on 88th Avenue in New York, in Jamaica, Queens. We had an account from. We sold subscriptions to the and I had an account from Stamford Advocate to Stamford, Connecticut, to Philadelphia. What is that? Pennsylvania. And so we have the Daily News, Newsday, New York Post, Star Ledger, Philadelphia Inquirer, Stamford Advocate, the New York Hour, the Gannett, right? Whenever you make money in New York City, as a kid, you got to have that shot. You show them, you make money, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't want my kids up in New York City, in the city. So I ended up I left deal in real estate in 2001, but I said I'm going to move to right, where I can kind of control their growth, right? And I moved to Florida in 2003, and I started our real estate brokerage, right? And we started making like, I don't know, like 20, 30,000 a month, right? Then I started a mortgage brokerage and we were making like 50,000 a month, right? And in investments, we make like six figures easy a month, right? And
Money, man.
and now, listen, these pictures didn't age well because the middle one was Diddy, right? And listen, 2009, we had the crash, and everything I knew didn't mean anything anymore, right? Because all the strategies that we were doing were prior to the crash, right? So you had to kind of figure this thing out. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go back to school because I didn't have any degree in anything. I'm going to go to school and become a doctor because doctors, there's no financial crashes in doctors, you know? So I studied biochemistry and molecular biology. This is when I was I was volunteering with the radiologists at one of the hospitals. And we try to make what is a cure for maple syrup urine disease. This another one was a cure for atopic dermatitis. My son had atopic dermatitis, and I wanted to try to figure out how to solve this thing because a lot of these guys didn't know what they were doing. Right? The other doctors actually. So, but in the summer of senior year, because I have a lot of experience in real estate prior to the crash, I had another investor that he had investment dollars. He had like another investor that put together, I'm going to say like $250,000 in cash, but they had no deals, right? So I said, all right, I know where we can find deals, right? We're going to find deals at the tax deed auction. So this is when people don't pay their taxes, right? The county will sell the house. So every state has a different law about this. But in Florida, right, they sell the actual deed to your house for not paying your property taxes. So the plan was we're going to buy that at the tax deed auction, and we're going to sell it to your investor, right? And literally, this in one summer, I turned $1 million into $5 million, right? And we made money doing it. You see? So if in a tax deed auction, you have to do something called a quiet title in order to get clear title to the house, right? Because it's a non-judicial foreclosure. But I actually put together this lawsuit, and I was like, man, this is like 10 times easier than like medicine and than science, right? So you know what? I'm going to go study, law. So any which way, this is where we bought it for $41,000. I think I probably sold this for $60,000, and he sold it again for $99,000, right? And I went to law school, graduated with real estate, certified. I concentrated in real estate and environmental sustainability, but there was one issue: lawyers cannot solicit. I just told you I had a with 80 employees, all we're doing was soliciting. So I said, you know what? I'm not going to be a lawyer, right? I applied to Georgetown, and by God's grace, I got into Georgetown, and I got a master's in real estate, right? And I specialized in commercial real estate development, portfolio, management, and structured finance. And I started a real estate investment fund, right? Taking people's money to buy real estate and to sell it again in the marketplace, right? So, how does this apply to like God? Right? I'm going to break it down here. This thing belongs unto the Lord, but those things which are revealed belong to us and to our children forever, that we may do all the words of this law. Keep therefore the words of this covenant and do them, that ye may prosper in all that ye do. Right? The secret thing belongs to the Lord, and not only you, right, but also your children, right, so that He can prosper you. God wants to prosper you. So any which way. So we're going to go to the first topic. Major topic, which is accountability, right? Your reputation is everything, right? And I'm going to prove this, right? This is a more than 2,000-year-old kind of, theme that you got to follow, right? Your integrity speaks volumes. Your integrity is worth more than money, right? Your reputation, right? A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches. Loving favor rather than silver and gold. Right? Very important. Right? And Daniel's reputation is as a case study. Right? Daniel in the Bible, So map really fast, Jerusalem to the left, Babylon to the right. Babylon is like modern day Iraq. Next to that, which is not on this map, is Persia, which is, modern day Iran, right? So, timeline, in BC, the number goes down to 0, right? So it starts at whatever number, right? In this example, 930 BC is when Israel separated, right? You have 10 tribes that go to the north, 2 tribes go to the south. The Syrian invasion, right? They invade and take over the 10 tribes to the north and enslaves North Israel. And then you have in 597, Nebuchadnezzar takes over the south. So now, when he takes over the south, this is when Daniel's story kind of starts, right? Because he takes and he takes the princes of the Jews, makes them into like scholars, right? And Daniel is one of the people where God blessed in order to kind of govern, Nebuchadnezzar. Now you have Daniel is almost a governor, like a chief person in his empire. You have Belshazzar, which is his son, and then you have Darius, which is the actual country to the right of it. He takes over and kills Belshazzar. So now, I want you to think about this critically, right? Daniel is a governor or like a president under Nebuchadnezzar, right? Then he is, I guess, going to Belshazzar, which is his son, and continue in that position. Then an opposing king, an enemy king, and right, a president, right, under that under that kingdom. The first thing an opposing king does is get rid of that entire cabinet and put in his own people. Most likely his family. But we're gonna hear from them. Is going to show you. It pleased Darius to set over the 120 princes, which should be over the whole kingdom, and over these 3 presidents, of whom Daniel was first. That prince might give account to them, and the king should have no damage. Then this Daniel was preferred above the presidents and princes because of an excellent spirit was with him. Right. So again, really fast. Right. 120 princes, like almost like governors. Right. Not governors, like the Congress. Right. Then you had 3 presidents, and Daniel was president over presidents. Right. Why? Because it says he had excellent spirit within him, and the king sought to have him over the entire realm. Then the presidents and princes sought to find occasion against Daniel concerning the kingdom, but they could find none occasion or nor fault. For as much he was faithful, neither was there any error or fault found in him. So this Daniel prospered in the reign of Darius. All right. So, Daniel is preferred above the presidents and princes because of an excellent spirit was within him. All right. The Hebrew pictograph for the word excellent is made up of 2 symbols and is actually from right to left. Right. It's this. It looks like a cross, but it's really like a mark. Then you have a man, and it really translates to the mark of a man. Right. This is his credibility, his integrity, his reputation. Proceeded, paid, for his it worth more than gold. Right. Your reputation of doing good business is your currency. Yeah. Daniel's blessed by God, and his reputation carried him over 3 different kingdoms, right? 3 types of different, people, right? And these are not like small people. These are, people that are, ruling a nation. I want to remember the story of the talents, right? And the Lord said unto him, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many. All right. So, what I do is I raise money to, do business, right? Raising money, you need 2 biblical elements, right? You need an opportunity and you need a reputation, right? You don't need money. You need the deal and you need reputation. So here's, so I'm going to give you real world experiences of why, how you not mess up thing, right? These are crazy misconceptions on this topic about the integrity of a man, right? Any which way. There's this element in business called, right? So a unicorn is a term in venture capital industry to refer to a private startup with a valuation over $1 billion. So this is a new company. Its value is worth over $1 billion, and it hasn't even sold anything yet, right? It's a brand new company. So this is a misconception that fooled the world, right? WeWork. And this is a common trope that you'd be aware of, that you could be wise men of God, right? So any which way, because was a business plan, and then they're gonna release it to individual people, and they're all gonna work in the same office place together as like a commune, right? So they're renting chairs, in so many words, right? 2014, the guy who did this, his name was Adam, and he was very right, and it was based really on his reputation of a person who can make unicorns. Like J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Harvard start throwing money at WeWork. Right, 2015, 51 locations across Israel. They're planning to expand into every continent by 2017. WeWork is valued at $10 billion, right? Value, Fortune magazine identifies it as a unicorn. They raised the value to $16 billion. 2017 raises it to $20 billion, right? 2018, another investor brings in 400, another one 500, another one brings in $3 billion with a B, right? 2019, they're at 500 locations across the world, right? Now its value is $47 billion. But the problem is the math is not mathing. The math is not mathing, right? You have common sense, right? There's hype. And then there's like, you being a diligent, person and looking at the math. These guys are 770 million in deficit, right? They're not a profitable company. How is it worth you not profitable, right? In addition to that, right, you remember their business plan is to rent locations and then re-rent them, right? So in order to rent locations, you have to get into deficit, right? So they have $39 billion in liability, and no way out, right? Mm-hmm. Other than like, right? And it didn't work out, right? There's actually a movie. It's called We Crashed. I love worth $47 billion, right? So, all right, in real life, this is an example, of what I actually do in real life, right? 350,000. The value of the house is worth 350,000. I'm going to buy it for 200,000, 45,000 to fix it, right? So I need 245,000, right? And so I can normally get from an individual, a banker, or a person, right, this 65% of the value of this. Then I need others, right, in order to finish the whole 245,000. I don't need the money. I need the deal and the reputation to do it. This is a real example. Doing this fire damaged house in an area called Dr. Phillips, New York, and Dr. Phillips in Florida. The value is 580, 300 purchase price, 125 in cost to fix the house, right? 400,000 we need to make this deal work, right? 400,000. I got a friend of mine that I know from kind of days that she lends money, right? This is not a bank. This is an individual, right? And then I have another investor partner. He puts about another 125,000. I'm going to deal zero, right? Why? Because I know how to put together the deal. We fix up the house. We sell it in 7 days.
Nice.
This is me wiring back the 125,000 plus 6,000 profit to my partner. So now there's crazy shenanigans that happen in the marketplace, and you want to jeopardize your name because you're trying to make it, right? There's no easier way to do than to you try and do it in business or do it in life, and you're making mistakes and you in integrity. It's costing you in character and what's the word I'm looking for, in your reputation. Deal on Facebook, right? he was looking for offers, and I offered the guy 81,000. Right? He had it for 90,000. You see, he accepts my offer, and he asks me, "Do you have funds, and do you have an earnest money deposit ready?" And if, we do have. Are you ready to show? I can make it happen. Right? He explains this is his name. Him and his partner Ethan. Right? We're investors. We own this property at 5708 Meridian Way in Orlando. Right? We're having an open house, whatnot. Right? I tell him, this is the address. I told him that, there's a strong chance, like 95%, it's a go, right? Send me the contract. I'll get it back to you. Earnest money deposit, right? Why? Because the same strategy I just did. I know it's a deal, and I know I get the money to make it happen, right? He says, "You're welcome. I'll have that contract sent over." So now I'm doing research on this property, right? Before, this part of my due diligence, part of me actually reviewing this thing, right? And I found out that this was on the market and canceled it and withdrew it. He took it off the market as a short sale. And it so happened, the guy's name, and what's crazy? I know Neil Lovell from New York. His family owned this nightclub on Hillside Avenue called the Guiding Light. And this is me taking a video meeting and Neil at the house. And I was asking Neil, what's the story with this house? It's his deal. He has it in contract, right? And I convinced him to sell me the deal. But the problem is the other person said it was their deal, right?
Yes.
They're liars. It wasn't their deal. It was some kind of shenanigans that was going on, right? And this is what's happening in the real marketplace. These guys are trying to make it. They are what's the word I'm looking for? They are actually messing with their own reputation. It's above all, you got to protect your reputation above all else, right? Don't jeopardize your most important asset, right? So you're talking about adulthood, next major topic, right? Hopefully, I'm making sense here, right, to you guys. So in adulthood, being a good steward, right, is important, right? Thoughts that keep people in bondage, right? That's not my job, right? You hear this a lot. This is not my job, right? Let me stay in my lane, right? Let me mind my business. That's above my pay grade, right? I'm just going to do me, right? But God said, do everything that to the best of your ability, right? Whatever thy hand findeth to do, do with thy might, all right? So thou shalt not muzzle the ox that treadeth the corn. This ox, he is plowing for you. You don't put a muzzle on him so he can't eat while he's actually doing the work, right? So this is an example, right? This guy's name is Warren Buffett, one of the richest people in the world, right? And how does he make his money, right? It's outlined right in Matthew 25, right? He makes a percentage of the money that he earns for his investors. He is the ox, right? And he has no muzzle. So Matthew 25. For the kingdom of heaven is like a man traveling who called his own servant and delivered unto him his goods. And unto one he gave 5 talents, unto another he won 2, and one he gave 1, to every man according to his several ability. And straightway took his journey. The man that received 5 talents went and traded with the same and made 5 more. And likewise, he that received 2, he gained another 2. But the one that received 1, he digged in the ground and hid his Lord's money. After a long time, the Lord of those servants came and reckoned with them. And he said, he that have received 5 talents came and says, hey, I have 5 more. And saying, Lord, deliver unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained beside them 5 more. 21 says, the Lord said to him, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I'll make thee ruler over many. Enter the joy of the Lord. 22. And he that received 2, he says, I went and got 2 more, right? And he says the same thing. I'll make you rule over many. But then the one that had 1, it says in 24, then he that received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew thou art a hard man, reaping thou hast not sown, gathering where thou hast not strawed. And I was afraid, and I went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, there thou hast that is thine. I'm giving you back the one that you gave me. And answered and said unto him, Thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knewest I reap where I sow not, and I gather where I have not strawed. Thou oughtest at least, therefore, put my money into the exchanger, and I would have got back my money with interest. Therefore, take the talent from him and give it to him that has 10. For unto everyone that has it, it shall be given, and he shall have an abundance. But him that hath not shall be taken away from even that which he hath. Right? And he cast the unprofitable servant out in the outer, and there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. This is in red because this is actually what Jesus said. Right? It's an example of stewardship. Right? But he says, his Lord said unto him, Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things, I will make thee ruler of many. Right? So this is Joseph in the Bible. Right? Abraham, Isaac, this is before Abraham, sorry. Abraham, Isaac, Joseph, Abraham, Jacob, and one of the 12 sons of Jacob, Joseph. Right? So what does, I want to make sure, we're on the same page on this. Prosper doesn't just mean like you're wealthy, right? There's a different definition that God has for prosper, right? Make sure that, we're saying the same thing. This is Genesis 39. Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, brought him of the hands of the Ishmaelites, which he had brought him down thither. And the Lord Joseph, and he was a prosperous man. So think about this. Joseph is a slave, right? He's a slave under Potiphar's house. God just described him as a prosperous man. And he was in the house of the master of the Egyptians. And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and the Lord made all that he did prosper in his hand. And Joseph found grace in his sight, and he served, and he made him overseer over his house, and all that he had, he put in his hand. And it came to pass, from the time he had made him overseer in his house, all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. And the blessing of the Lord was upon all that he had in his house and in the field. And he left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he knew not aught he had, save the bread he ate. Mr. Potiphar didn't do anything. Joseph managed it all. And Joseph was a godly person and well-favored. A goodly person and well-favored. So, all right. Joseph was a slave. His job as this slave. He's like, how can I do this better? How can I bless the person that I am a slave for? And God prosper to do his work as a steward better. Right? And you know what happened with Mr. Potiphar's wife? And he put him in prison. And Joseph's master took him and put him in prison, a place where the king's prisoners were bound, and he was there in prison, but the Lord was with Joseph and showed him mercy and gave him favor in sight of the keeper and of the prison. So I want you to think about this really hard. This is before there's running electricity and running water, right? You're in a prison in a third world country for one of the worst crimes. You're in prison for rape, right? In a third world country, right? With no running water, or this is not a nice place, right? And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph the prisoners that were in the prison. And whatever they did there, he was a doer of it. And the keeper of the prison looked not unto anything that was under his hand, because the Lord was with him, and that he had that which he did, the Lord made it to prosper, right? He's a good steward, even as a prisoner. And God blessed him, right? God was with him. And the same thing with Pharaoh, right? Pharaoh said unto Joseph, God hath showed you these things, and none is so discreet and wise as thou art. Thou should be over my house, and according unto thy word shall all my people be ruled. Only in the throne will I be greater than thou. And he gathered up all the food for 7 years, right? Where there's land in the land of Egypt, and laid the food in the cities and the food of the field, which was, remember, the Pharaoh had a dream. There's going to be 7 years of prosper, 7 years of famine. All right. So Joseph gathered up all the money that he found in the land of Egypt and the land of Canaan for the corn which they had bought, and Joseph brought the money into Pharaoh's house. And when the money failed in the land, right, and all that the Egyptians came into Joseph, and he give us bread, for they shall die without in thy presence. So now that the famine is on, so there's now giving food in exchange for money, right? Now, 20, all the money ran out. So now he's exchanging, livestock and food, but also in 20, he's exchanged all the land. This is Joseph bought all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh, and Egyptians sold every man his house, his field, because the famine prevailed over them. So the land became Pharaoh's. But here's this. This is about the muzzle, right, of the ox. Israel dwelt in the land of Egypt, in the country of Goshen, and they had possession therein and grew and multiplied exceedingly. Okay. There's a famine, right? People are starving to death, but through Joseph, right, his people were able to prosper, right, because of his stewardship. Joseph was as a slave, as a prisoner, and finally as a prime minister. God blessed him to be diligent in his work, right? But with great power comes great responsibility, all right? Use it with caution, right? So, all right, what do I mean by this, right? I want you to be able to, like Solomon, know truth from fact, truth from lies, right? There's a difference between investing and speculation, right? So I'm going to give you two scenarios, and I'll ask you which one would you invest in, right? You turn $1 into $1.20, or you can turn $10 into $15, right? And the question is, which one you would invest in? And the answer is you don't have enough information. That is not enough information in order to, actually invest. Because now I'm going to give you the details. You're investing in gum, and the cost to make gum is $1, and you sell the gum for $1.50, which gets you $1.20. So the investor gets, his dollar back plus 20 cents, and the muzzle, the ox gets the other 30 cents. Where the other one is, I don't know how it works. You put money in the box and it spits money back out. Now that you have more information, you can say, all right, I'm not really feeling that $10, even though it gives me a lot more money, right? I'm not really feeling that, right? Now I understand how you're making this money, right? It seems like a lot more risk. Right? But this happens in real life all the time, right? 1636. It's called tulip mania. This is a tulip bulb start to rise in price to the cost of a house so dramatically, right? Why? Rich people, certain influential people said that I want it, and I consider that thing important. So the question is it really important? Does it provide any real value in the marketplace? Does it provide anything to the people? No. Is this desirable to certain people? And that's why it rises, right? And as soon as those people don't like it anymore, it's going to automatically fall, right? This happened all the time, and you have to be able to decipher between the two. So, and people got me about this, but I'm gonna tell the truth, shame the devil. All right. So anyway, crypto and NFT. Crypto. What is crypto? It's a black box that people put money in it, and it sometimes gives you back money. But people don't understand what it does, right? Because it's not tied to it's not like a stock. It's not like you're buying a stock of Apple or a stock of a company, which this is what it produces, right? It goes up because of the people that want it. Same thing with NFTs, right? This is an avatar, right? This picture of this monkey. It's called board. Price of this avatar went up in prices of like almost $500,000, right? To buy this avatar, right? And the broke ape yacht crash right? So important people like Justin Bieber and, famous people start buying these things and making them desirable, similar to the tulips, right? And you can see here, this is Justin Bieber's, ape avatar. It was probably worth 1.3 million at one point, but it lost 95% of its value. Why? Because people decided they don't want it anymore, right? There's a difference, right? So here's a strategy I did in real life, in stewardship. Person who was in tax deed auction, I bought it from them for 20,000. I brought it to an investor for 70,000. I made an agreement with that same person who I sold it to that me and that person will sell it again for 155. Right, so I sold it first at one time, then I sold it again, right, for 155 to an end buyer, right. While I'm on this topic, I have actually a book on this. It's The Richest Man in Israel. It's adapted from The Richest Man in Babylon. I'll give it to you guys. I'll send you the link. You guys can read it. It's a good book, actually, right. All right, conclusions on adulthood, right. Be a good steward, right. Your gift will make room for you and you'll bring you before great men. Proverbs. All right. Personal growth. Work smarter, not harder. Okay. Creativeness is spiritual. All right. What do I mean by this? The very first verse in the Bible says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and earth. And God created great whales and every living creature that moveth. So God created man in his own image. God creating is in his nature. It's in God's nature to create. If we're made in his image, therefore, it is man's nature to create. Right? No other thing is creative other than man. You don't say, hey, my dog was so creative. Or my hamster, was so creative and did this art piece. Right? That's not something that people say, right? Because it's not true. Right? Only man, right? So now I'm going to give you this math. So, what does it take to make $1 billion with a B? And I'm already like do the math. So I want you to imagine, right? I want you to take this fairy tale imagining. You make $625 an hour for 8 hours, for $5,000, which is $5,000 a day, every day for a year. So for 365 days, you make $600 an hour or $5,000 a day. Right? Found the elixir of life, right? And you were around when Christopher Columbus discovered America, right? So from 2025 to the time that Christopher Columbus discovered America, which is 500 years. So you've been alive for 533 years, right? And which is 194,545 days, right? And you made $5,000 a day from that time, and you saved every penny. You saved every penny from 533 years, and you still wouldn't be a billionaire.
Wow.
You lived 5 lifetimes. You lived 5 lifetimes, and you saved every penny, and you still would not be a billionaire. It's mathematically impossible for you to work your way into being a billionaire. It's mathematically impossible, right? You have to create, right? So what does it take to be a billion? It makes 3,846 day for 260 days, or 480,000 an hour. The last time I checked, they did not. I haven't seen them offer $480,000 an hour positions. But if you find them, make sure you know. All right, any which way.
Yeah.
Any which way. Here's a guy I thought was awesome. This guy his family makes beer, right? And I like his quote on the left-hand side. It says, I operate on instincts. I don't really think things out, right? He made $1 billion, his net worth is. So this is Warren Buffett, right? Irrational people don't risk what they have, need for what they don't have and don't need. Common sense things, right? And this is Warren Buffett, his timeline. And we see that by the time he was 56, he made $1.4 billion. By the time he's 58, he doubled it, right? He added another billion, with a B at 59. By the time he's 66, he times sixed it. Then he doubled it again in 72, and in 58, when he's 83, he almost doubled it again, and by 91, he's 91 billion, right? So remember, we talk about 1 billion. This guy has 91 billion, right? He can't work to make this money. He has to create. So what is an investor? An investor is anyone who, with the expectation of receiving financial returns. Okay. You may or may not know what this picture is, right? It is an old time show called George Jefferson. Moving on up, right? Owned the dry cleaning business and everything about this. Moving on up to the east side. Anyway, Trey. All right. So the question is an investor a business person, right? And I think it is, because an investor, business person, anyone who commits capital with receiving more. But I want to make this distinction to make sure that you're on the same page about this. A self-employed person is not the same thing as a business person. You work for yourself. It's not the same thing as, you make money even if you're not there. The person who created McDonald's, right, and the franchise model is not the same thing as a person who works at a diner for himself, right? Because we just made the conclusion, you create something outside of yourself. So anyway, Trey, this is another topic that I wish that someone had me when I was young. There's a book called The E-Myth of It. I'll give it to you guys, at the end, or I got an email to you guys. Anyway, Trey. All right, so this is a good topic here, right? This is another topic of life is not fair, right? Matthew 20, verse 1. For the kingdom of heaven is like a man that is a householder, went out early in the morning to hire laborers in his vineyard. And he went and he agreed with the laborers for a penny a day. He sent them unto his vineyard, and he went out about the third hour, and he saw others standing idle in the marketplace. And he said unto them, Go, ye into my vineyard, and whatever is right, I'll give it to you. And they went their way. And again, he went up the 6th hour, and in the 9th hour, and likewise. And in the 11th hour, which, this is a 12-hour shift, right? He went out and he found others standing idle, and he said unto them, Why ye here all day idle? And he said unto them, Because no man hath hired us. And he says, Go into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right, I'll give it to you. So when even had come, the Lord of the vineyards, when 12 hours has passed, he called them to pay them. And he called the laborers and give them their hire, from the last unto the first. And when they came, they were hired about the 11th hour. The guy who worked 1 hour, he said, because there's 12 hours in the shift, right? They received every man a penny. But the guy who came and worked for 12 hours, right? He says, Oh, I should get more. It's only right. That guy worked 1 hour, I worked 12 hours. But he also received a penny. And they murmured against the good man of the house, saying, These last have worked but 1 hour, hast made them equal unto us, which borne the burden of the heat of the day. But he answered unto them and said, Friend, I do thee no wrong. Didst not thou agree with me for a penny? Didn't you agree to work for 12 hours for a penny? Take that thine is, and go thy way. I will give unto the last, even unto thee. It is not lawful to do what I want with my own money. Thy eye is evil because I am good. Wow. Right? Once again, this is in red. So, guy comes out 11th hour. He works the full 12 hours. All right? A guy comes out again. I think it was like, what is it? The third hour. So the 11, 12 minus 3 is what? 9. He hires a whole lot of guys, right? And then, I want to give you an example. I actually have the breakdown here. 12, 9, 6, 3 hours, 1 hour. All right? Which one would you want to be?
1 hour.
It's kind of obvious, right? You want to be the guy that works 1 hour, right?
Yes.
But the question is, all right, what are you exchanging? All right? Do you think the person that worked an hour, do you think he was there from the beginning, right? It says, and about the 11th hour, he went out and he found others standing idle. And he said to them, why stand ye here all day idle? They were there, but they never agreed to work for the penny for the 12 hours, right? It's crazy, right? So my conclusion is you don't have to follow the program. You can negotiate your fate by solving problems. Because what the vineyard had, the master of the vineyard had the problem that he wanted the work done and he didn't really care about, right? You get to negotiate because the guy who was there all that all day, he agreed, I'll solve this problem for you for a penny. Right? So God prospered Jacob when he started to invest. I'm going to give you the same example. Right? This is real world example, right? This is not real world, this is biblical example. Okay, remember Jacob, right? So Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Jacob went to meet Rachel. He got tricked by Laban, right? Married Leah instead, right? And then he had to work for another 7 years because the agreement was I was going to work for 7 years, right? As a laborer, right? Tending to your flock for Rachel, but he tricked them. And now he had to work 14 years, right? For Rachel. So now this is the end of the 14 years. And Jacob called Rachel and Leah to his flock and says, I see your father's countenance, that it is not towards me and as before, but God, my father, hath been with me. Right? He's saying to the daughters of Laban, your father's not good peoples, but God got my back. Right? 31:6, and you that with all my power I have served your father, right? With all my power. 7, and your father has deceived me and changed wages 10 times, but God suffered not to hurt me. So once again, he's working for 14 years as a laborer, getting wages, right? And it came to pass when Rachel had borne Joseph, that Jacob said unto Laban, send me away that I may go unto my own place and to my country, and give me my wives and my children for whom I have served thee, and let me go, for thou knowest my service which I have done to thee. And Laban said unto him, I pray thee, I have found favor in thy eyes. Tarry, chill, don't go. For I've learned by experience that the Lord has blessed you he has blessed Laban. 28, he says, appoint me thy wages and I'll give it to you. He says, Laban says to Jacob, tell me how much money you want to get paid per hour, and I'll pay you that money, right? And he said unto him, thou knowest how I have served thee, and how thy cattle was with me. For it was little which thou hast before I came, and now has increased into the multitude. And Lord hath blessed thee since my coming, and now I will provide for my own house also. But now 31, this is where Jacob is now negotiating wages, but for a percentage of the actual business, right? He said, what shall I give thee? And Jacob said, thou shalt not give me anything, for thou do this thing for me. I will again feed and keep thy flock. I will pass through all the flock, and removing thence all the speckled and spotted cattle, and all the brown cattle among the sheep, and the spotted and speckled among the goats, and such should be my hire. I want the ugly cattle, not the pure white ones. I want the ones that are speckled, and I don't want wages. I want those animals, and those animals will be mine. To be fair, God gave him a vision, pride, right? And told him, this is what you negotiate for, right? So any which way. And Laban says, all right, I'll do according to thy word. But Laban, not being an idiot, right? Laban that day went and he took out all of the speckled sheep out of the flock, and he sent them to his son, which was far away, which was a 3 days journey, which is 36, right? And now 38, which is, and I guess Jacob knows genetics. If the gene is in it, all we got to do is mass produce it, right? So Jacob sent the rods which he had piled before the flock and gutters, and into the waters thorough. When the flocks came to drink, they would conceive when they came to drink. He made a factory where, in order for the cattle to drink, at the same time they're going to conceive. they're gonna make babies. And the flock conceived before the rods, brought forth cattle, and they had speckled and spotted sheep. And it passed, whenever the strong cattle did conceive, that Jacob laid the rods before the eyes of the cattle and gutters, they might conceive among the rods. But when the cattle were feeble, he put them not in him. So the feeble were Laban's, and the stronger was Jacob's. And the man Jacob increased exceedingly, and had much cattle, and manservants, maidservants, camels, and asses. This is the first time that Jacob, I'm running out of time? Okay. This is the first time that, Jacob has been described as being, like exceedingly, profitable, right? So summarize, Jacob wanted to not only work hard, but also put into strategic plan his future wealth, right? Jacob worked for Laban for 14 years as a shepherd, receiving wages, but being abused by Laban. It wasn't until Jacob made a deal for ownership that he started to grow in wealth, right? So, good question, right? This is Jim Rohn. I asked a waitress at Denny's, have you found opportunity that going to take care of you and your family for the rest of your life? And she says, I have not. Well, that's one of the most important questions you'll be asking in your life. And I said, would you mind if I ask you the second most important question? And she says, go ahead, what's the second most important question? He says, the second question is, are you spending time every week looking for that opportunity? And she says, well, no. And I says, wow, two of the most important questions you've ever been asked in all of your life. And the answer to both of them are no. Would you like to explain this to your family? No, I haven't found opportunity. No, I'm not looking, right? And wow, then I would say, would you mind if I give you a gift? The gift is advice that will change your life. And that is, if you have not found opportunity yet, you spend time every week looking for opportunity until it's found, right? I'll give you the promise. The promise is that the day you decide to spend time every day, every week looking for opportunity until you find it, that day your self-esteem will go through the roof and you'll never be again, right? So this is an article, right? In today's, he bought a chair for $50 on Facebook Marketplace. 3 months later, he sold it for $85,000. So what happened is, the guy scanning Facebook Marketplace is part of Justin's daily routine. Now the question is, do you think he got over on this lady by giving her $50, and then selling for $85,000, right? And most people think, that's like their gut instinct is like, yeah, I think he got over her. But it's right here. It says, as I was messaging the seller to arrange the time to pick up the chair, she said something along the lines of, if you repair this chair, it's worth a lot. The lady knew it's worth a lot, right? But she didn't care. She just wanted it out of her house, right? If you do the work, right, you can reap the reward. All right. And I ask you, I say to you, ask and it should be given to you, seek and it should find, knock and it should be given, open unto you. For everyone that asks and receive it, and everyone that seeketh findeth, and to him that knocketh it should be open. So the question is, what are you asking, seeking, knocking for? All right. So I'm gonna pass this because we're running out of time. But this is I'm trying to find deals like this like every day. Right. I'm trying to find ridiculous deals. Creating things that will change your life. Right. Do not rely on hard work only. Right. Fatherhood. Right. As a father, you have spiritual accountability. You're the spiritual leader for your household. This is what Moses said to the people, right? That thou mightest fear the Lord and to keep him all their statutes. Hold on, let me move this so I can actually see it. All the statutes and his commandments, which I have commanded thee, that thou, thy son, and thy son's son, days of thy life, that thy days be prolonged. That thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and that all thy soul, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and thou shalt talk of them which thou sittest in thy house, which thou walkest by the way, which thou liest down, and when thou risest up. And thou shalt bind them on the sign upon thy hand, and thou shalt be the frontlets upon thy eyes, and thou shalt write them on the posts of thy house and thy gates. It's your job as a father to be a spiritual accountability for your family and to teach your family, right? About this, right? So now, also, you must be good peoples, right? It says, fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them into this discipline and instruction of the Lord, right? Right? How can you provoke your children? You show favoritism, right? Like you favor one over another, or you put someone else in front of your kids. Your kids got to know that you got their back, right? In other words, you got anger on them without cause. It's one thing if they did something wrong and you correct them. But it's another thing that you see a lot of is, a guy is angry with the, right? And for that, he cuts off the kids, right? And you have to understand this, your kid is your kid, right? And you gotta be good to your kids, right? Not showing up. Come up and you have to be there all the time. But have to be able to communicate, that to you at the same time, when the kids need them, right? You also must be vulnerable. I never actually told this story before, but I'm gonna tell it now. You can't let pride interfere with your relationship with your children. Sometimes you must be vulnerable to be effective. Right? So my father was not good people's. Okay. My father, had like another relationship and then cut us off. Right. But before that, like we knew that was happening, right? Right. Excuse me, we didn't know that was happening, but you can see that he got standoffish with this. I kicked out of my house when I was 16, and I did not have this relationship with my father, and I was estranged with him with at least 10. I didn't talk to him. And it was only after I became a man and got saved that I actually went back. My father is not Rastafarian, but he's like close to it, right? And not Christian. Nobody in my family other than like and is a Christian. So my son, his name is Lazarus, right? I saw that it almost felt like a generational curse that we were coming to like not blows, but we were coming to like where he was going to part from us. And one time I brought him in the closet. I had to show him weakness. I cried, and it still hurts me to this day talking about it because I had to cry and I feel that what happened to my father is to and us. I don't want that to be. I do not want that to happen. To know that this is what I really feel about you, right? And I had to be vulnerable in that moment to be effective, to understand, so I can get through this the enemy, right? To bring upon this curse upon us, right? And by God's grace, summary, right? Being a man matters. You must be a good steward. You must work hard, smarter. Those things don't change, right? Because you're a father, right? Those things that enhance your fathership, right? Because those things that your children learn from, not by saying it, but by example, right? So fatherhood, you must be a spiritual father for your house. You must be good peoples. You must be, God must prosper you. Literally means to go over, do you good, be met, be profitable. In most cases, where it is used in the Lord, is used 66 times in the Old Testament. Most case, it's used Lord stating he wants to prosper you, right? I declare and decree in your life that 2025 would be the year of transformational wealth. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. All right, I'm done.
Thank you very much.
It's over. We're more than 6 minutes over because I think I was supposed to leave time for question and answer.
Oh, we got time if you have time. So you got some time for open questions?
Yeah, shoot them to me and I'll talk to them.
So what's the first question? Anybody? Questions?
Can I go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
So that was really a great talk. Thanks for a lot of insights.
It's me, I think.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, great. So my question is that you shared this story about Joseph, right? And how he transformed his position from a place of even captivity, right, into a place of a glorious ending.
Yes.
While we were talking, it struck me that it can be similar to most of us here in the sense that we are immigrants, right? And we navigate through the restrictions of being an immigrant to the liberation of, having that transformed, prosperous life. So I'm thinking, right, what are some of those ways to overcome such restrictions or such boundaries? Typically, let me take example in business, right? There are a lot of visa restrictions that comes with being creative to an extent, right? How how do you how do we navigate some of these things? And perhaps maybe you don't know the right answer because maybe you're not immigrant, but in general, how would you speak to something like that?
It's a good question, right? So it's crazy. I'm just gonna talk straight, and you know, I, I believe without a doubt that people in general are looking for other people that can provide value. And now, so the question is about, how to be blessed what is it? Like Joseph, right? And then the second question is how to navigate this immigration process legally, right? So now the first thing is that how to be blessed by like Joseph. Like I said before, most immigrants, they know they have to be profitable, right? My father, my mother, first generation immigrants, and we knew that we had to be profitable, and we had to go into the marketplace in order to show people that we can provide value to them, right? Like my father was a CPA, and he went to New York, and he went door to door trying to get people to do their business with taxes, and that's how he built up his business. My mother did the same thing, but in real estate also. She was in real estate too, and she brought people down from where was it? From from New York to Florida. That's how I knew Florida, right? Because and we sold real estate in Florida. But now, I don't care where you're from and what business you're in. Every employer, right, or business opportunity is looking for a way to make it better, right? And it's your job to think about that, and how to like fix that problem, right? Now, okay, if the question is about how to navigate, the immigration process, as far as legally, and status wise, you have to start with the instructions. You see? So this is where law why law is important, is because law, there's a framework for instructions. Like in any business, what I go into, I look into the laws, and I'm looking for loopholes in the law that's not normally done, right? But is legal, that I can navigate to and do business, right? And it, which is my competitive edge. So so if you're looking at law, you have to really either sit down with someone or take time and actually look at the law yourself, right? And try to potentially navigate this strategy. One of the easiest ways is marriage, but that's another story altogether. Right?
You're married.
Thank you. It's like finding the hoops and then jumping them, correct?
All right, so this falls into the same story, because Joseph, he's in Potiphar's house and he's trying to make Potiphar's house better. And what he's doing is he's looking at every strategy on how he can do it. Same thing in the jail, how we can make it better. Same thing as a president, how we can make it better, right? And one of the ways to do that is to look into the law and to do the same thing. So, hopefully that answers your question. But like I said before, people are looking for people that are diligent.
Thank you.
Awesome. So, what do you call it? There's a question on the screen. It says, what is your biggest financial mistake, and what did you learn from it, or what did it teach you?
Okay. So, that's one, which is what the first one was accountability and governing your name, right? And sometimes in business you want to run it too close to the gray, right? I mean, when the market crashed, right, and I ran a business, but the business was like at the edge, right? And when I thought about it, even though it's 100% legal, right, it was other people in the industry that I knew were doing it wrong. And when they put in the dragnet, they captured everyone, right? and they put me in, and now I had to explain why, like Psalms 1, why I'm chilling with, why I'm not in the congregation of the ungodly, right? And why am I not doing business, like I'm in that industry, which was mortgage modifications. And I really think about it, from the standpoint of, even though a lot in that industry, it in my, it was not worth the to my credibility, right? To name to be in that business, right? So you got to really think about, when you get into a business, right? Is this something where, I don't care if it's legal, right? It is something where, you don't want to be involved in, right? Like I remember, I had a guy, I helped him make, I don't know, a few $100,000, maybe I didn't almost $1 million. I helped him make maybe like 700,000, right? And he said to me, Jason, let's go start a club. And we even went downtown and negotiated with some Irish guys that were, real Irish guys that, with the told them, you don't want to be involved with this thing because you turn into a different person to be successful in this business. And that you have to turn into, I don't think that you don't turn into that person, right? Because this is not a business where, you're gonna be blessed in so many words. It is more a business where, you struggle to try to benefit, and at the end you lose. It's like a drug dealer. A drug dealer not only has the police to fight with, but he has to fight with other drug dealers that want to take over his territory, and everyone is against him. And it's not like he has any like allies, right? It's a bad business model.
Gotcha.
So, great talk, by the way. So my question is that aside real estate, are there any other investments that you made that got you this far? And then my second question is, you sometimes have value, but how do you present yourself as valuable to the market or to people?
Good question. All right. Okay. Like I was saying before, you need two things. You need an opportunity, and then you need credibility, right? And now, it doesn't really matter like what business you're in. You have to present the opportunity. For example, if you were a really good cook, right, and you said to I can make this dog, or I can make this chicken, or I can make this thing for this price, and I think we can sell it for this price, right? And now you have the credibility of actually being a really good chef, and now, but not only a good chef, but a good person, right? That you're not going to start something and like leave it, right? These are the key ingredients you need in order to do it. It's just that a lot of time in real estate, I've been doing this since, for over 20 years now, right? And other than that, I know medicine, because I shadowed doctors for 3-4 years, as well as I have a degree in it, but I also know law, but I did start another business, which crazy business. I had another investor that came to me, and he had an inventor. The inventor created this light, right? This light that you can go fishing with, right? And it attracted fish, right? And he was a good old boy. He's the southern guys from Florida, and here I am, a New York guy. And my benefit to the company was that I knew law, right? And I also knew marketing, right? And when we first met, I took this video of him explaining the product, right? And I also wrote up the operating agreement for the company, and we ended up actually getting that product into Bass Pro, into the actual big shop. There's another Harbor Freight kind of company, and was able to mass produce that product, but my value was that, I had this investor who did a lot of business in real estate, and he knew that my skills went beyond that, and I'm a partner just because, right? And that same video that I took when we first met, I chopped it up, and I also did that same video in like a Bass Pro. We had like a kiosk and put a TV there, right? And that was the video that ran, right? So again, will make room for you, right? And but you got to be like out there looking for opportunity. You got to be out there, doing good business, right? And so again, you need opportunity and you need, like right? And those two things that you as an individual, as a God-fearing man, that can benefit from, in anything you do. Because it says, God will prosper you, like in Psalms 1, in anything you do.
I have a question there's a question in the chat too. It's if you lost your money today, what skills or mindset would you use to rebuild? And I think I'm going to add to that question. I know that you would part of the answer will be like opportunity, and then also just being at the right place at the right time. But let's say you gave within PowerPoint, you gave a list of the making a profit that is making a net of 1.2, and then making another one of $10 and $15. That is $1 to 1.25, and then $10 and $15. And then with how you explained it, it looks like you looked at the science behind it. That is the first one. It didn't really make any sense, so you wanted more details. But after you found the details, it's like one was actually scalable, but the other one was like a black box. So with somebody who is new in this game and who's like try to start and analyze a deal or trying to actually, make sense of things, is there a way or is there something that you would advise when they're looking at a deal or when they try to scale and they have such an opportunity and they have to make the decision? Is there a way that you could advise them on where to start, how to start, or maybe even just seeing if it's worth their time or maybe it's just going to lead to the black box?
Okay, good question. So 2 questions. First one was lost all the money, and the second is like, how do you analyze things, right? So first question is, if I lost all the money, now, the example I gave you, I didn't invest any money, right? It was my opportunity. What I did is I raised the money, right? I got an investor to give me the money to buy it, and I got another investor to be my partner, right? So one is a loan and one is an equity investor, right? So one is a partner that's going to get a share of the profits, and one is going to get their money plus interest, right? So it's not that I need money, right? What I need is opportunity, right? I need opportunities in the marketplace. And once I have the opportunities, I can go into the marketplace again and then raise the money. So this is a skill that you don't need money for, right? What you need is a time to be looking for opportunity, right? Very important, right? Because I do deals to this day, right now, that I didn't put 1 penny into the deal, right? But I'm going to get 50%. Because I'm negotiating for that 1 hour, right? Yeah. I'm not part of the deal unless I get that. It's my deal. So let's run the deal where I'll get the money from pay this person interest, and I need your money to help me fix up the house, and when we sell it, we'll make profit, right? So again, we don't need money. What you need is the idea of how to be a good steward, because if you're a good steward, right, you're looking to fix problems in the market. For example, I bought a house last Monday, right, and the person was in foreclosure, right, and they were afraid that they were going to get nothing at the sale, right. The person who brought this deal to me, I just said to him, listen, I know how to set the deal up. I'll make you a partner in the deal, right? I'm going to get the money to buy the and pay the lady, right? And, pay you, and I'm gonna make you a partner in the deal. Right? So exactly what happened, right? We asked the lady, what does she want? And she said she wanted 25,000. Right? And that's a common thing that communicate, just talking the deal with what would you want to if I could solve this problem for you, what do you want? And she says, it was her and her sister, so it was 12,000 a piece, like 12,500, right? And so I went to a lender, right, and it was 12,500 with the loan. I had to pay up their loan to stop them from foreclosure, and give her 25,000. So I needed approximately 112,000. The house is worth probably, I don't know, the house is mashed up too, you know. But the house is probably worth after repair probably close to 300,000. So I went to another lender and I said to him, I need 135,000. I'm going to buy this house, and I need 135,000 up front, and I need another 40,000 to repair the house. And then after I paid the 112th to the lady, I still had, I don't know, like 16,000 left. I gave the kid who found the deal, 15,000, right? And then I made him a partner with me, so when we fix it up again, we can sell it again. And so in scenario, I didn't need money. I was a steward, right? And I was able to structure the deal, right, where everyone won, right? All right. First question. So to summarize the first question, you do not need money. You need to be a good steward. You need opportunity, and you need credibility, right? The second question was analyzing opportunities. Analyzing opportunities, the reason why I gave these misconceptions and tulip mania and whatnot is because, in life, you have these in with good opportunities are these crazy bad opportunities, right? Like right next to each other, right? And you have to be like Solomon and be able to between the two of them, right? And the way you normally do that is by, one, asking really critical questions, and second, asking like what if bad scenario things happen? Like what's the worst that can happen in this scenario? Is that? And kind of analyze your risk potential because of that, right? Okay, I'll give you an example. All right. My aunt called me and said to me, all right, there's a company that says that they can forgive the debt for timeshare by negotiating with the and either reducing the debt or forgiving it altogether. And they want this money to do it, right? And it looked like a good opportunity, right, for her at least, to out from under this timeshare debt, right? So I said to her, all right, let's get on the phone and talk to them and think about this critically, right? So the first thing I said to them is, okay, can you show me, right, one time where you got either a loan reduced or forgiven? And there was, they cannot, because that's private information. But I kind of know like the rules, answer with confidence, and said, it is not private information. It is public record. When you buy and you have to take out a mortgage, they record the mortgage in public record and it's there until it's paid off. So if you got a mortgage forgiven, there must, not if, there must be a satisfaction of mortgage filed in the county records, right? If you got it reduced, there must be a modification recorded in the public records, right? And those items are guaranteed recorded in public record for everyone to see, right? Because that's how mortgage and finance works in America, right? So you asking these, and when I said that, obviously he was upset because I messed up his deal, right? Because he could not prove that he had done one like that, right? Because these are the critical questions you're asking in order to not play devil advocate, but at the same time. So now back to that same house where I bought at the foreclosure auction, right? Last Monday. right? Okay, what's the worst that can happen, right? All right, there was one big risk in that deal, right? One huge risk, right? Was there was code enforcement. This is where the city comes and says that the house has been not taken care of, and they will start fining you like either $100, $200, $500 a day. So they had this crazy fine that had like that went on probably to $500,000. That's what it was, worth much more than the value of the house. The fine. It just so happened that at the beginning of January, a month and a half ago, right? Because I was able to with a $300 like lien to like $1,000. I'm the lady who does all the negotiation for the county, what is it? County code enforcement. I just called her, and it's Deborah, like in the Bible, right? But everybody calls it Deborah because they don't know that is the Deborah. But anyway, and I said to her, "What do you feel about this? Right? Do you think that we can get this thing down?" And she says, "Yes." I said, so I was like, "All right." So then I had to call the lenders and say to them, "All right, here's the big risk that we have." I said, "But I think that we can get it done. And the reason why I know we can get it done is because I just did it." Right? And they're like, "All right." But another big risk that I can't sell it. Right? But all right, the value of the property is at best case scenario, 300,000. All right. Now, fire sale on that house, if I had to let it go, maybe 230, 220. So the question is, can the deal still work if I had to fire sell the house? And the answer is yes, because I bought it for 100,000. I bought it for 112. You see? And when I'm looking at opportunities, I am extraordinary, because of that kind of risk, of what can happen. It's good. First you're looking for that con, aspect, which I told you about my aunt. You see? And once you rule out the con aspect, then the question is, what can happen? You see? And once I do that, if I need to liquidate fast, can we still make money? So one of I think the most dangerous deals, right? And this is in real estate, is a guy will say something like, the house doesn't need anything. There's a few updates, right? And you can be in and out in 30 days, right? And in that example, you bet high, right? And you don't have the opportunity to sell it at fire sale because you thought you're going to be in and out of fast. But the problem is bad things happen and bad things happen often. And you really have to be like conscious of those kind of deals where I normally don't buy those at all. Where they just need touch-up work, but the people want a lot of money for it. And the margin is very thin, right? And I don't want to be that deal at all because, the likelihood of something bad happening is too great, right? If something bad can happen, it's going to happen to me, right? So, but at the same time, I've been blessed where I just don't buy those opportunities.
I have a question. We have two questions.
So one more. So Jason, what do you call it? I have 2 or 3 people who have questions. So we're gonna maybe try to do like 2 or 3 minutes for those questions, so we can wrap it up so that I don't hold you up, and then hold them up too. So I'm gonna have the first question. But yeah, thank you very much for that. Then it looks like sometimes taking the risks to win an opportunity is always like sometimes the key, but you have to do your due diligence also to be able to navigate and also keep your reputation also. So that's a good. I'm gonna have them to give you questions.
Maybe let me come to that.
Yeah, thank you very much for your presentation. So I have a question. My question is about balancing conscience with profitability. So you talk about like business being added value, like to people's life, right? So suppose today you are in real estate, you bought a house for like 200,000 and you can sell it for $2 million. Like, what will prevent your conscience from selling it? So I ask this because of when you talk like crypto and NFT, that like, this thing is not really adding value, like it's not really adding value to people's life, it's just people want it, right? And so I'm coming from this point that like, how do you, being a Christian and being a businessman, how do you balance profitability with your conscience? Like today, if the market skyrockets and you can sell at $100,000 house for $2 million house, and maybe you know that it is not worth it, will you sell it for that? So now I'm saying this because when it comes to like things like maybe crypto, NFT, and art, someone can say, why can art be sold for like $1 billion? It's not worth it. It's just because people want it. And so that's like that's where I'm coming from. And the second rate is so similar is that I know you're a Christian and you are in business, so I'm asking this question that, is it wrong to capitalize on, say, people's foolishness to make money from them? No, so I was because or like people's, let me use them, maybe craziness. Ignorance. I'm saying, or ignorance, yeah, that would be better. Ignorance. No, the reason is it's like, suppose that I've always avoided crypto because I understand that it's not like stock and it doesn't have a fundamental value. It's not like a company that makes profit. It's just driven by people, like people demanding it, and people stop demanding it to go down. But then if I think of it, so if people are being like ignorant and buying into crypto, then why not, if I can play on their ignorance and take money from them? I'm not adding any value to them, but I am just making money. In that case, how do I balance it with my Christian values? Because someone will argue that, what about gold? Like, gold is also driven by like demand, and there are a lot of things like that, especially in art, which is kind of more, I think art has existed for long, so people don't really think of the conscience, but why is like the drawing of like maybe Mona Lisa like $1 billion? Why? And things like that. So like balancing profitability with conscience. And is it okay to play on people's ignorance to make money from them when you think that it's not really adding value? Thank you.
So it looks like he's asking about balancing risks versus ignorance, winning through balancing risks, ignorance, and then the last thing also is just the reality of taking the risks. He knows. He got it. I'll let he knows. He got it.
The first, all right.
Okay, he's got it.
I want to separate, right? I want to identify crypto, right? Because what I said is crypto is not an investment. Crypto is a speculation. I know guys that have bought and made money, right? You don't in your head that it is an investment. An investment, I put money and I'm a good steward and I'm going to make money on that money, right? Because I know how I want to make money on it, right? Crypto is like a gamble, in so many words. It's speculation, right? Now, is it providing value? You don't know if it's going to go up and you don't know if it's going to go down, right? It's not you're taking advantage of everyone by selling crypto. It's like a market where you're selling it to and you don't know if you're going to make money in the first place. Now, but I think the root question, right, is a question that plagues a lot of Christians, which is, should a Christian be wealthy, right? And it's a question and answer, right? Because if you have like that are like in so many words fleecing their congregation in order to buy jets and stuff like this, you know what I'm saying? And it's the bad taste that a lot of people have with the prosper kind of message, right? And so okay, Jews, for their existence, right, were in business. Abraham, right? What do you think about this? Abraham left his country to find a new country because God told him to leave, and left with Lot, right? This is a time where there's no police, and one of the most dangerous things is to go traveling. And so what did he have to do? He had to things and sell it on the way of his journey in order to exist, right? Almost like a caravan, right? So now if the value of your asset increased, right? I told this to, I was selling a to the city of Orlando, right? I bought the house for 40,000, right? And they came to me and asked me how much did I want for the asset, and I told them that I wanted 140,000. And the first thing he said to me was, "Jason, you just bought the house for 40,000." And I said to him, "Listen, you don't go into McDonald's and say to them, 'Hey, the cow costs 40 cents, right? Why, are you selling me, the burger for $5 when it only costs 40 cents to produce, right?'" It's because I know the value of that asset at this marketplace is this price, right? And it's one thing if I'm price gouging, right? Which is the intent to take advantage of people that are in a financial ruin. Like you had a disaster and you're the only person to have water, and now you wanted to drastically increase the price of water because you're the only source of that water. That is price gouging, right? Which is different from water has been this price, and it's up to you to say, these people I can give the water for free or not, right? Now, it was a thing that in the Jewish kind of tradition, the corners of someone's farm, that would be given to the poor, right? And if you have a square lot, right, the corners, you cut the corners off, right, and that would be the poor's. That's what in Ruth with the story of Boaz, right, where she came to reap, right, and she was reaping in those corners, right. So the question is should you be profitable, and should you be prosperous? And we have multiple examples. We went over them today, right? Of Abraham was ridiculously profitable, right? One of the best examples of him being profitable is that he went to Lot, right? And he beat some kings. So he had in his own household, and he beat the kings. And the first thing he said to them was, I don't want anything from you guys, because I don't want you to say that you made me, what is it? It's God who blesses me. We know that, that Isaac was blessed. He sowed and he reaped 100-fold, right? During a famine, right? We know that Jacob was blessed. He said, we know that Joseph was blessed, and we know that many, of certain kings were blessed. But when they turned away from God, right? That's when they put them in bondage, right? Because if you think about it, there is no police, there is no foreign nation that have to worry about another nation taking them over. So, if you feel that you're getting over on someone, and you did not disclose to someone what is happening, and that is why you're benefiting. This is between you and God, and you feel like you sin against God. And yes, he said, you didn't disclose. An example of the bought that chair for $50 and sold it for $85,000. Right? The lady told him, right, if you fix this chair up, it's worth a lot of money. She knew that it's worth a lot of money, right? And she did not care. That was the arrangement. It's when you do not, like you hide something, right, in order to be profitable, right? That's when it's dangerous. Similar to where had gave a portion and said, "This is all I have," right? And this max, and he said, "This is all I have," and he wasn't, because they were trying to hide their emotion. They were trying to hide their motive, right? But if it's clear, and say to someone straight and said, this is what I think it's worth, and this is why I think it's worth this, right? Because this is what the marketplace pays for it, right? I personally, I don't believe that there's any condemnation in that, right? And it's up to you if you want to give a portion of it or not, right? Hopefully that answers your question.
Two more questions and
Thank
then
you.
he said thank you. So two more questions and we out. And Austin, I see your question and that one out. I'll reach out to you directly so that we could speak to Jason directly on that question also. So you should go. Two more questions from the audience here, and then Matthew, you could go for, and then Matthew and Adam. So Matthew, please go ahead.
I think I want to ask us.
Sorry, mine in the chat box.
Mr. Sorry, but I'll touch base later on that one. So we're doing people who are here now because of the time. So
Okay.
Matthew, please go ahead.
Thank you for your time. I've taken away lessons. I have one question for you. When you're structuring deals, how do you negotiate the profit share and what is the minimum percentage you will take on most?
You know, most deals, I'm a like a 50% partner, right? You know, will I take less? You know, if this is a multi-million-dollar deal, yeah, I'll take less. Okay. You know, if split, will I take 20%? Yeah, of course. Right. You know, it's relative, right, to the deal and to the amount of time that you're going to spend in the deal. Yeah. So we talked about, the workers in the vineyard, right? And everyone got paid the same amount, whether you work 12 hours or 1 hour, right? This is a personal question that you have. But at the same time, though, it's kind of knowing your worth, right? You know, if it's your opportunity and you're setting and you like putting it together the deal, right? You can really, how should I say it, pick what you want, right? Now, you have to be diplomatic when you're communicating this thing and not in a way where you're putting down people, and in so many ways, everyone has a different expectation of what they should get in the deal, right? And certain people might say they only if they get 60%, right? Or they get 80%, right? And I could say to them, maybe for this deal, there's not enough money for you to get 80% for me to spend my time to make this deal work, right? And only get 20%. What I could do is if I have another deal that's big enough where I can give you 80%, I'll let you know, right? But there's other people that might just want 10% on their on time, and therefore you can say to them, listen, like a common question I always ask people is like, what do you want, right? And they tell me, and this is what I feel like. I would ask somebody, what do you think is fair, right? And normally that's how I get out of like this scenario where someone think that like you got over on them, right? So in business though, you have buyer, right? This is where someone will say, like you do a deal, and then after the fact, right, that person will talk to their cousin, brother, uncle, business partner, mentor, and say, man, that was a bad deal, right? And then they would get out of the deal, right? And sometimes, you're trying to save the relationship. You just right? Like I had a deal. The person was going to put up I think 50,000, right? And we held the deal for longer than we expected, right? And the 50,000 that he gave me was not cash. I know it at the time until after the fact. It was a loan he took out. So the question was, I have to pay his interests on the loan that he took out, right? And did we take that from the deal? And that was never part of the agreement, right? But because I respected our relationship and he was concerned about that, I said, no big deal. I'll pay interest, right? And did I stop doing deals with him? No, right? I just try to have this conversation up front so that I don't get blindsided on it after the fact, right? But that's just you're doing business. You're gonna have what is it? Things that come up, and you're gonna have to deal with it diplomatically. You're gonna have to deal with it, properly in order to continue doing business.
Thank you. That's my final.
So this would be the last question.
I was having a
Wait
question.
a minute. And thank you so much for the talk. One of the things that we were considering when we had you as an invited speaker was how you manage your really large family with your everyday life. Because I know you work smarter, but how do you manage a typical need of your children and your wife with your really busy schedule, work-life balance for you typically?
My family knows I'm here, right? Like here's a Saturday morning. I told my workers that I'm not going to be available this morning.
Mm.
I told them. I told my this is for me, right? Because sometimes I'm going to be organizing, the day and the next week, right? And I told them this morning I'm not going to be available, right? Same thing with my children. I said I'm going to be in here. Don't come here, knock on the door, right? And because I'm the people, right? And then we're gonna talk. And you have to be that's what I'm looking for. You have to be intentional with it, and you have to be intentional with like thinking about your children and the needs that they have, and if you take out time out of the day to do what you got to do to talk to them, you do it, right? And I have older kids now. One is living in Chicago, another one is living on the dorm in not too far from here. One is in New York at St. John's, and I have a few, and I try to spend with ones I know that need it, right? Because how should I say it? You have to be sensitive to things that are happening in your household. You got to be sensitive to things that are happening, so that if you need more time, you do. And you just I just cut this. Today we're doing this. Period. Right. And because I remember, like, I think it was last week or the week before, my daughter got into an argument with her sister about bringing, I guess, her friend to like a meeting, right? And the real culprit was that she was disrespectful in how she asked. Right? That was the real culprit, right? But I had to explain her in a way that she can kind of grasp. And saying, this was, this, right? And I had to be intentional. Think about how I'm going to explain this to her. She's like 16, 17, right? And how she asked her sister, which is in her 20s, for this favor to help her, and I told her that, most people, when they are asking for something, they're not asking the right way, right? And if you look for, like biblical things, when Abraham had asked, the angel not to destroy, what is it, Sodom and Gomorrah, right? He started with like 100 men. There's 100 good men in Sodom. You're not going to destroy it. And he went down all the way to like one man, right? But I told him, like, in today's society, negotiating that is like frowned upon. Like going back and forth with people. A lot of people like that back and forth. They feel it like it's disrespectful, but you got to do it in a certain manner. You said, here's a man who negotiated with an angel, right? And went back and forth in so many words that some people can consider, like disrespectful, right? Certain cultures, certain people, but you got to do tact, right? On purpose in order to get what you want, right? Because you have to learn that skill, and even if it doesn't work, this you have to be able to do that. Same thing with Jacob when he wrestled with the angel, right? Until he's blessed. That's what he said. And so we went over these things on purpose, and I took time with her in the morning, when I drove her to school to go to about this. I know this aspect that that her and her sister. You said, to explain to her in so many words, this is how you talk. And if you want something done for you, you got to be able to negotiate. You saying, with your sibling.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Jason, this will be the last question. I'm sorry. I know you got to go back to this one.
My last question is very, so you've talked about legalities and law and all that. Would you say that the legal scope of, I know we all can be in real estate and all of that, but would you say understanding the legal scope of your industry to be successful?
Okay. So, what I find is that all really a lawyer, all right, I want to say a big portion, not all, because you have different skill levels of lawyers, right? But I say 50% of the benefit of a lawyer is that he knows the rules, right? Because when you know the rules, it's hard for someone like to get over on you, right? Because that's not how it works. It works like this. You can't do that way because this is how it works, right? Whether you're talking to, like I remember, when I went to law school, right? Growing up in New York City, like I went to criminal law, right? And he like, listen, it does not work like that in real life. It does not work like that in real life because cops will do this, okay? And if you know the rules, right, and you're confident, it's now easier, and it gives you more opportunity. Now, do you have to be a lawyer to know the rules? No, you understand? You just got to be able to competently, research the law, right, and be able to competently and how the law works without actually being a lawyer. There's many business people who know law, right, and they're not lawyers, right? They never been to law school, but they know the law, and they know because they've been to war many times, right? And but yes, you said knowing the law is definitely a benefit in any industry, because of the rules.